So we got rumors here, but I think these are rumors that are like half reports. Sometimes there are rumors that are just like message board nonsense, and then sometimes they're like, this is a rumor, but no one wants to say it out loud. Something's gonna happen, just wait on it. That's this one. Gonzaga is gonna get Mario Saint Supery, who is one of the best international prospects in the world, and also one of the best names in college basketball history immediately the moment he commits to Gonzaga. Mario Saint Supery is from Spain, where he is every bit the Yegor Demin, Kasparis Yakashonis level prospect here. He's a guy who certainly has a real optimism that he could be taken in the first round in the NBA draft in the future. And as a 6'3", 172-pound, 19-year-old guard, I think he projects as a guy that will come to college basketball and be a primary option at Gonzaga. Now, I think that could be at other programs too, but it sounds like this is a done deal. And Mark
Yeah.
Few has gotten a big answer in the backcourt. Are you hearing the same things, Ralph?
Yeah. And it's almost assuredly Gonzaga. I think something would have to catastrophically fall apart for it to not end up being Gonzaga. Gonzaga has been the program working on this for quite some time. And it makes total sense. He plays like your prototypical Gonzaga lead guard, right? Where he can create, but he's a really good passer, really good playmaker, high IQ, like the guy you want with the ball in his hands, reading ball screens, reading defenses, can score a good bit, obviously along with his passing as well. Like he fits that Gonzaga system so perfectly.
So the big splash moment, I feel like when we do international prospect breakdowns for the first time on the channel, often we point to something where it's like, this is why he's awesome. And for Mario, it was the 2024 Eurobasket U18 event in which he put up some absolutely staggering numbers: 22 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists per game for Spain's U18 team. I mean, that is,
It's
I'm
good.
going to do the cheap thing that we're not supposed to do with international guys. It's Luca E. That his performance in that event mirrored a young Luka Doncic international. I'm dominating the game with my passing, with my scoring, with my rebounding. I'm just an unstoppable guard that can do everything. Now, he's not Luka Doncic. Nobody is. I said the same exact thing on Yegor Demin and Kasparis Yakashonis videos last year. But I think that is the sell here. There's some
Yeah.
creativity. More importantly than creativity, though, there's a guy who is like professional in the way he goes about this. He's ready. This is not a lottery ticket international, we
Right.
don't know what we've got guy. This is a guy who's being brought in to presumably feature and elevate what Gonzaga can be next year. Do you think it's going to be easy for him to step in and do that?
I do, partially because Gonzaga needs that, needs somebody who can control a game the way that he can. That's something that in Gonzaga, the best Gonzaga teams have always had somebody who could be scoring, could be passing. However they do it, the game runs through them. This Gonzaga team without Saint Supry, I don't know has that. Like you look at who they project to have in the rotation, particularly in the backcourt. There's not a lot of depth. You're kind of counting on Braden Smith, the Colgate transfer who redshirted last year, not the National Player of the Year candidate, to run point, and you kind of redshirted him last year because there wasn't really a role for him last year. Is he going to lead your team to levels Gonzaga is accustomed to? Probably not. Adam Miller and Jalen Worley are your guys on the wings and your complementary guards, your non-lead guards. Any one of them going to be the guy? I don't think so. I think the more in the Caliph battle kind of mold where they're quality pieces for you, but you need someone to lead them. St. Super to me comes in and alleviates that concern. Both the
Yep.
depth and then being the guy who is a more offensive minded Ryan Nemhard, right? Because Nemhard was the playmaker, but they needed him to score because they didn't have enough scoring around them, and that just wasn't fitting his game. Graham
That's
Ike is going to run things down low, but Saint Superi can add more of the scoring punch I think Gonzaga needed from that perimeter spot.
Do you think Saint Super is going to be used as like primary point guard? Because I do look at the roster. I agree with you. look, I'm not a huge fan of the Adam Miller ad. I'm not a huge fan of the Jalen Warley ad. I will say this. I think both those ads make a lot more sense when you have Mario Saint Supery in the fold. Now it's like, okay,
Yeah.
one of those guys comes off the bench. One of those is the fifth starter. Probably Adam Miller's the fifth starter. And now I see the vision for the roster in a way I didn't before this. But I do think Braden Smith, if he hits, would be the Nemhard here almost. I also want to be careful because like Ryan Nemhard's great. He's shown out at the combine, special player. We know this. I wouldn't be trying to like recreate the roles from last year. I don't think that team worked very well from Gonzaga's standpoint.
No, no, and I want to be clear because I love Ryan Nemhard's game. I've loved Andrew Nemhard's game. I'm a
Yeah.
sucker for Nemhard's. I am.
This video is presented by Underdog Fantasy, and they've got a free pick tonight that you're going to want to take advantage of. Anthony Edwards to score over 0.5 points. Ant scores every single playoff game, as far as I know. Card, has he ever not scored?
Not since I've been alive, and that's 32 years for those wondering out there.
That pick sounds extremely free. Promo code SLEEPERS as a first time depositor at Underdog Fantasy. You can get up to $1,000 in bonus bets and a free pick. This is the shortest ad read we've ever done. You're welcome back to the video.
The problem is Gonzaga did not have enough perimeter scoring to where Nemhard could truly be like the true point guard that he is, where he could be the secondary scorer who gave you 10 points to go along with 8 assists and 2 steals and run the show. They needed him to average 15 to 18 points, which he can do, but it's not something that his game was accustomed to. He's more true point guard than all around guard. Saint Supry is more all around guard. So you're not trying to like replace Ryan Emhart. But I also don't think Adam Miller, Jalen Worley, or Braden Smith can be that like lead primary scorer on the perimeter.
Yeah,
I think Saint Supery can. So he's going to be the one with the ball in his hands. It's almost going to be like a Nigel Williams Goss kind of role
I like
to
that.
me.
I like that. Yeah, it's a team build I just like more. If the backcourt
Yeah.
becomes Braden Smith, Mario Saint Supery, Adam Miller, Jalen Worley off the bench, I like that team construct better than I liked last year's with trying to
Yeah.
play Hickman alongside a ball dominant passer. I like it. I think you have guys who can do a little bit more of everything and there's more balance. And honestly, quite frankly, I think Superi is a more special talent than anyone on last year's roster. I think there's a little more upside talent wise having a guy who should be a first round pick if he has a good season in college. I compared him, I keep going back to Yegor and Kasparis. I do want to just point this out from the film that I've seen of Mario Saint Supery. I don't think their games are all that similar, but I always throw those guys out with big time international prospects as like the case study for what a successful 1 year stint in college looks like. Because Yegor and Kasparis came to BYU and Illinois individually in a very similar spot to Mario, where it's like, oh, I'm a projected first round pick. And that means no one knows what to do with him. He's somewhere. He's one of the top 30 guys in next year's draft class. But like, yeah, we don't really know. We like the upside. Someone's going to gamble. Then those guys got to college and very quickly became first options on their teams. Good teams, mind you. And scouts were like, oh shit, these guys are lottery picks. And I think if Mario Saint Supery has a good season, I think that's going to happen for him. The difference between him and Yegor and Kasparis, a couple things. Yegor was huge. Yegor is measured as the tallest guard in combine history. St. Super is 6'3" and skinny. So he's there's no comp there. And I do think Kasparis isn't an awful comp with the way this kid plays. But I think St. Super is probably a better scorer. There's more on film that I've seen of him sort of navigating inside the 3-point line and finding angles and these unorthodox little floaters and step back shots even. Kasparis was like a step back three merchant. That's all he had. Nothing else worked other than getting to the free throw line and his passing. And I guess I would just say, scout wise, what do you expect? St. Superi, I think, is probably the best scorer out of the three. And he's most definitely, I think, the worst playmaker out of the three.
Yeah.
Like, he's probably not even a primary passer on this Gonzaga team if Braden Smith hits and you play them together.
Yeah, he is more, I think, has more in his bag with scoring. Like there are more ways he can beat you. He's more of a true 3-level threat than either Demon or Yakashonis is or was. He's not the table setter. He's not the true point guard. He is more of a combo guard. He's more of the all around player than the true point guard mold who sets the table for everybody else and makes the plays, which fits Gonzaga. The projection for the NBA with him as a skinny 6'3" guy like that is a different story. But for what he projects to be for Gonzaga, I think that's also what Gonzaga really needs. That's a perfect fit.
Do we get to call him Super Mario?
Absolutely. You kidding?
Feels too
You call him Super E Mario.
Super. Yeah, there we go. Best case season for him. What's it look like statistically? Where does he get drafted? What does it mean for Gonzaga?
Best case season for him is probably somewhere in the realm of like 19-5-5, 25-5.
Wow.
And he runs that, he emerges as the lead guard, as the point guard kind of role, runs that system really well, and he ends up as a late lottery pick.
Okay.
Because he proves himself as more of a point guard. I don't think he can be a combo guard or non-off ball guard and be a lottery pick.
That's fair. An NBA team, I don't think is picking him to be a two guard with his size. Right. So, yeah, that's fair. I think that's probably a little rosier than I would have it, just because I think those numbers you just said are like National Player of the Year good, and I don't see that. Although talent,
I don't either, but it's best case.
Right, the 1%. We're on like our NBA draft scouting report right now. I feel like a best case season for him would be like 15, 16 points a game. I actually don't see the passing to that extent. I think like maybe 3 to 4 assists a game, but on really good percentages, like an efficient 15-4. First team all conference, WCC. Gonzaga sweeps all of the WCC titles, and Gonzaga gets back to a deep run in the NCAA tournament too. I think that this is the type of ad that gives you belief that can happen again. And quite frankly, without him in the fold, I didn't have that belief. So pivotal ad from Mark Few. We will now await the official announcement that he's joining Gonzaga, but all signs point to a huge international get for the Zags.